It is 1 o'clock. Good afternoon from the Superbook.com sports desk. I'm Lucas Panzica. The Titans finalized their 53-man roster on Tuesday and their 16-man practice squad about an hour ago. Among the names, wide receiver Des Fitzpatrick, defensive backs Chris Jackson and Theo Jackson, linebacker Joe Jones, wide receiver Mason Kinsey, defensive lineman Laurel Murchison, and, of course, quarterback Logan Woodside on the practice squad, among several others. We are 1 day away from football on Rocky Top. Tennessee opening the season against Ball State Thursday night in Neyland Stadium. Tennessee AD Danny White joined 3HO on Tuesday, praising the culture that Josh Heupel has built within the football program.
Just a tremendous job building the right kind of culture, the right kind of kids. I think people are going to really enjoy watching this team compete and how these kids represent our university off the field, too.
Nashville Soccer Club is back in Geodis Park tonight after 2 straight wins with a combined score of 7-0. They take on Real Salt Lake, a 7:30 kickoff. NSC currently is 5th in the Western Conference table. For all your foundation repair and waterproofing needs, visit USSTN.com. Breaking news at once on your home for the Titans and Vols. This is 104.5 The Zone.
Blaine and Mickey, 104.5 The Zone. What's up, everybody? Happy hump day to you.
Oh, it's hump day?
It is hump day. It's the last day of August. It is the last
Is this my last day of the week?
Of August. What is it?
Oh, is this the last day of the week for me?
I don't know about that.
When
When
I say that, I'm talking about that Ball State dies, and then I reawaken after that UT game and feel like it's a dream.
Well, I mean, this is rare. This is rare on this show that we have, like, a real rivalry between any of us because our teams don't ever play.
Whoa, quit. Stop saying rivalry. This is not a rivalry. This is about a scrimmage.
Well, they're trying to break, the 34.5 point spread. That's the rivalry.
Man, I already said it's going to be about 40. They lost 30 players to starting quarterback. I just hope that it's not over in the first quarter. Like at 21,
We do need Ball State and Arkansas State to play each other in the Blaine and Mickey Bowl.
They did play in a bowl game a few years ago.
Good Daddy.
In the GoDaddy Bowl, yeah.
in Mobile?
Go Daddy.
Yes, Arkansas State actually beat them. It was a great game.
Were you working there?
Yeah.
Or were you here?
No, he was here.
I was here, but I went there.
Yeah, I didn't go.
Actually, no, when that happened, I wasn't back yet. I was still working.
But I knew you, though.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
yeah. I wasn't back yet. No, I was there.
I was not a happy camera.
Who won?
Arkansas State did.
Barely.
They blocked a field goal.
Wow.
On the last play of the game.
This is why we need more bowl games, not less, because of crazy stuff happening
Bring me
in the
all the bowl
GoDaddy
games.
Bowl.
I have no problem with any bowl game. Bring me all of them.
What year?
Oh, I don't remember.
2000 and
9?
no, 2000 and maybe it was January of 2014.
Oh.
So not Gus Malzahn.
Oh, he was the
No,
coach.
he was gone.
Who was the coach?
So 11 was Freeze, 12 was Malzahn, 13 was Brian Harsin. And he was gone by the time. Every year the coach left before the bowl game. They made it and left.
Well, I was gone after I saw y'all block that kick and win the game, and I threw my bologna sandwich at the TV.
and Ball State's kicker was good.
Yeah, they
And
always
it was a
have good
makeable field goal to tie it. And they blocked.
kickers and punters. Man. Yeah, we had a guy. He played 15 years for the Bears. Brad Maynard.
Yeah.
I played with him too.
There's like 7 guys on your Ball State team that played in the NFL. Like Bernie Parmalee, and this guy didn't even know about Maynard.
Maynard. Yeah, he was kicking the ball as a freshman out of the stadium. Like he would practice kicking over the press box. I was like, what the heck is this dude? How did we get him?
What did he have bad grades?
We had another kid, 4th rounder. Corey Gilliard was a safety. Corey Kroom is a running back, went 4th round.
Corey Kroom.
As well as McKenzie, who was drafted by Green Bay, and I think more like 7th round. He was a pass rusher. Ended up playing for a little while. Then he injured his knee, so he might have got about 7 years. He's actually a coach. He was a sophomore when I was a senior.
There's some breaking Titans news, but we don't have to play the sounder. It's just this just dropped from the Titans. You and Buck had this, I'm sure.
Yeah.
I
just want to be able to yell since they told me not to yell. So I got to yell every point I give. You tell you not to do something, do it.
Here is what is uncanny about that. When you just do it off the cuff, it sounds just like the recording. Like you never waver in how you do it.
It's impressive.
It's always that's impressive. Like like people always said, if you're not a big music person, Ringo Starr was a drummer for the Beatles, and a lot of people people who love the Beatles and love Ringo Starr love the way he played. Some people kind of bag on Ringo. But the thing about Ringo was he played songs like in the studio, the same speed, the exact same way every time. And in those days, you couldn't just erase something. You had to literally like cut the tape and splice it together. So if you like the chorus from one song with the verse from one version, they'd record it several times and they would splice the tape together. And he was a metronome. That's like you. You just do it the same way every time. It's amazing.
Well, I tried it first on air when I first did, and I said, "Oh, dang man, let me go all in on it and see if I can, do that again." And I don't know why it sounds all the time. It's just like when my son was young, a baby, and started going, I started mocking him when he was a baby. I'm like, "Dang, good Lord, why are you crying? You're eating, you're sleepy. Just go to sleep, buddy. Come on, I'll hold you." Yeah, and that's what happened. So I just started just mimicking stuff on TV or whatever. It just kind of was my deal. It all started though in broadcasting. You up here, you practicing, watching people broadcast. Like, just like Mike Keefe, I practiced that. Touchdown, Titans. See, I practiced that. I just wanted to yell again. But yeah. So yeah, I practice. People just think I just, like I don't do that. I just show up. No, I practiced.
No, I could tell by the way you yelled touchdown Titans. You practiced that.
I was like, dang, man, why didn't I do that first?
These guys have an opportunity to still score a touchdown for the Titans via the practice squad. I don't know if I've ever seen this, and this could change because everything does. They just tweeted out the practice squad. It's only people that were here.
But no, it's not the full practice squad though. I did not see this tweet yet because when I get in here under the mic, I focus. So it gets 16 spots. I don't think it's 16. Is it 16?
16. It's only people who were here.
Well, guess what? They go where they know. We saw what we saw.
So David and Ninny, of course, who we spent a lot of time yesterday talking about, but he passed through waivers.
I got that.
He got there. Now they can protect that rascal. He's there. Trenton Cannon,
the running back.
Des Fitzpatrick. They're not done with the Des experience.
Well, we're hearing that my man McMath may be on, some form of an injury. May have to put him on a pup or something. I don't know if that's true.
McCormick reporting that it
expected to.
What was the exact wording on that, Lucas? The Terry McCormick tweet.
I'll pull it up. I know he said he reported that he's expected to be on IR with a hip injury.
Expected to be, not expected, but
he's not officially on IR.
Okay. Right. See, so expected. So that's why I didn't retweet that one because you never know. Maybe they decide, something else. I don't know.
I'm expecting to win the lottery, but I haven't tweeted it.
Yeah,
I just went ahead and said it.
Mm-hmm. So who else is on there? Ruse made it, I'm sure, right?
Yep.
Yes.
Oh, okay.
So Dez, Chris Jackson.
Yeah.
So that means only one guy's left from the 2020 draft class on the active roster.
Who'd that be? Fulton?
Christian Fulton.
Oh, I just guessed. I didn't know.
No, you guessed right.
I forgot who the...
Theo Jackson, who got nicked up and missed a bunch of training camp for a while. Mm-hmm. Joe Jones, Mr. Hustle. He.
Yeah, I like Joe Jones. I like what he was doing out there, man. It's that hustle play. I love the hustle plays. Yeah.
And then literally, if there was like a Ring of Honor for practice squad, this guy might be my first inductee, Mason Kinsey.
Oh, Ring of Honor.
Like if you put a Ring of Honor around the practice field, like for practice squad guys, I put the 12 in there.
Okay.
I'd retire 12 at practice.
I love the way he plays too. He's got some flair to him. He's got some confidence to him. When I'm talking about flair, he knows he belongs. He knows he's good enough. I like it.
Well, he'll stick around. And here's the thing.
He's an insurance policy for Phillips.
100%.
Who's a bigger version of him or vice versa. But they're the same player, so he's just not as big. So they went with the bigger, and they drafted him. So naturally, they're going to do that. So I'm a Kinsey fan. I hope he gets a chance to play or dress. He may be dressing his first game. We have no idea. Who's they only going to go with 4 receivers?
Well, if that's all they got, if
McMath is
goes,
expected,
then that's all they got.
Oh. Well, they better not be on any special teams.
So then, and I'll run through these, the rest of them. So Laurel Murchison, offensive lineman Xavier Newman-Johnson, the international tight end Thomas Odukoya.
Odukoya.
He gets to stick around basically for free on the practice squad. You get extra guy if you have an international guy.
Oh,
you
cool.
get exemption for free. Pretty cool. Sam Okawanu, I believe, is right. The defensive lineman, Jordan Peavy, the defensive lineman. They had a bunch of good defensive linemen in camp. Reggie Roberson.
The receiver. Yeah.
The receiver, Jordan Ruse, who you already guessed. Andrew Rupsich, who's an offensive lineman. David Wells, who got brought in, 10 days or something. Tight end,
yeah.
number 83. And Logan Woodside. So Let's say something happens week 1 and something comes to fruition with Racey McNabb. I mean, so you can pick from Des Fitzpatrick, you could pick from Mason Kinsey, you could pick from Reggie Roberson. Those are the guys that you could.
Who are you going with out of that group?
Terry Godwin, who didn't make it.
Where is he?
I don't know.
What happened? Did he do something?
I don't know.
Man, as soon as I said, I think he may make the roster. Cut. I was like, well, they're going to bring him back on the practice squad. Nope. And nobody's picked him up that I've seen, but I don't know every team and who all they picked up. But
I'm on Twitter, search his name right now.
But you can go to probably his Twitter handle, and see, man, I thought he was a solid player, good route runner, nothing, maybe just nothing special. Like there's no speed, there's no super size there. But I thought he was quality, man. I don't know. I would have brought that back. I know a lot of people were talking about bringing it back Marcus Johnson. I think he got cut by the 49ers. And I'm like, ooh, well, we've been there before, but if you're just trying to make it to, if McMath goes down, I mean, they already have 3 guys on there, so they probably wouldn't do that. But there was one time, man, I thought, wow, if he could stay healthy, man, I think he had over 100 yards in one of the games here at the home field, too.
He did. Remember they threw in that crossing pattern with a guy trailing him, and he was the fastest receiver on the team.
Now I remember everything, and I remember who and what team.
Okay.
And that never happens. Saints. It was the Saints. Did we play the Saints last year?
Yeah.
Here. You know why I remember? He ran away from a top 10 corner, Lattimore.
Ran away from him.
Yeah. I was like, uh-oh. Whoa.
Well, no, speed wasn't an issue for that dude. He just couldn't stay out of the tub.
That dude, I was like, not too many people do that to Lattimore. He's top 10 corner. I mean, some people will put him in the top 5. But after he got beat, I put him in the top 10. It was like, what the?
You bumped him back 5 spots.
Yeah, I did. I was just like, well, he's in there somewhere. But I was stunned, and he could not catch him. There was nothing. It was separation is what I saw. I was like, uh-oh. Then, naturally, he went back to who he was, and he got injured again. I think it was like groin or hamstring or something. God, man, that guy.
He was 5 for 100 in that game. He only had 160 yards the whole year. He was 9 for 160 for the year, and 5 for 100 came in one game.
That Saints game, yeah.
And he was running all over the place in that game.
Yeah, and see, they need that guy all year long. And see, that's what his history tells you, that he can't do it. He can't do it, unfortunately. For him. Man, tough sledding.
Get him cheap now, though. I mean, you can bring him in, and hey, man.
Well, a veteran player, you can also wait till after the first game. Yeah. So, they're gonna be going this first game, 2 tight ends, 3 tight ends. If they go with 4 receivers, and we're going downhill.
There's no way, right?
Maybe for one game, though, because Blaine's right. Then you could sign any vet after that. And if you needed him for 3 games,
they don't want to guarantee someone's contract the entire season. So once the season starts, then you're week to week if you get a veteran player. And then how quickly can they get up to speed and learn your offense? But that's a risky proposition. I would bring up one of those 3 guys that's on there.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I would do. But, man, I don't know how much they're going to be playing, what their special teams contributions would be.
So no Cody Hollister, interesting, on the practice squad because he'd stuck around a couple years on the practice squad.
Yeah, they got my Hollister.
Well, you stand next to that guy. He looks the part, that's for sure. But we'll wait and see what happens with him. But not currently on the Titans practice squad, so maybe a new team for Cody Hollister, who literally started a game last year against the Patriots, just right off the shelf in case of emergency, break glass, and went and started against the Patriots, but not currently part of the Titans organization. When we come back, let's do this. Let's take a look down at Jacksonville, find out how the rival Jags are doing. Mark Long will join us. He covers the Jags for the AP, also covers the Gators. So we can get into a whole bunch of stuff with the man from Florida next on Blaine and Mickey. Blaine and Mickey, 104.5 The Zone. It is Wednesday. Roster cuts yesterday. Practice squads being built today. As of right now, the Titans practice squad is all dudes who were already here.
No.
All dudes. Somebody asking in Zone TV chat, TK, would you take a shot at Josh Gordon? Blaine, with the culture we have? Blaine?
Nope.
That's a no.
Sorry.
Well, there you go. So that's a quick no. And let's go to the phones now. Mark Spain Real Estate Hotline. We got a yes from Mark Long of the Associated Press, who joins us now. Mark, the Jags have the most secret of secret weapons right now.
What?
They are the first team to get to make waiver claims.
Oh, right.
That's a pretty darn good seat to be in right now. Maybe not as comfortable as the one you're sitting in, but a pretty good one, Mark.
I'm sure not too good.
Yeah, I mean, it'll be interesting to see if they land a gem. That's kind of what you're looking for at this point. They were afraid last year. Urban Meyer was afraid of making too many claims because, he was like one man's trash and another man's treasure. You say that, but his thinking was, I've spent 8 months with these guys in the building. I don't want to hope to replace them and not know if I'm going to actually replace them or improve on that. So he didn't do a lot of claiming on Final Cut Day. I think they claimed one guy. And so the new regime, Doug Peterson, they claimed 5 yesterday, and they've been claiming kickers left and right for a couple of weeks now. They're on number 6. So, I think it's just a different regime and a different look. And I do think Doug Peterson, obviously having been around the league a long time, he understands that the bottom of the roster can make a big difference when you're talking about wins and losses and certainly building your team, a year or two down the road.
You mentioned Urban Meyer. I didn't have any Urban Meyer questions, but you mentioned his name. I just want to ask you this because you've been at this a minute down there covering the Jags and covering the Gators. You've seen a lot in your time. How long were you into the Urban Meyer thing before you thought, heaven help us, this is just a disaster?
Oof. Well, week 4. I mean, we had an idea early on that the players weren't really digging his vibe, and and that was just this whole everything being so college gimmicky, where winner loser announcing every bit of every practice was so competitive, and he's announcing winners and losers, and they've got an MC at practice telling them when to take a break and counting down, or when to drink a water and counting down the seconds from one drill to the next. You could tell some of the older veterans were like, listen, I'm going to roll with this because it's Urban Meyer and the guy's got a history of winning. But you could tell they were like, I just don't know. This doesn't seem like it's doing anything extra. So there was that. But I mean, I think the real turning point was week 4 when he didn't come back with the team on the plane at Natty, and then all of a sudden, a couple of days later, the videos dropped, and that was where you knew this isn't going to work. This, whatever he is or whatever he does, that's where it's not going to work. And then you take that and you throw in the gimmicks and you throw in the fact that he didn't know the league. It was very clear to us, even in the summer and training camp, that he doesn't know what he's talking about when it comes to players on his own team, players on other teams, and some of the rules that are NFL staples. He just didn't know. So I think you throw all that together, and it was a real recipe. And you start hearing rumors and whatnot, and there was no way it was going to survive. Even if he survived, if he didn't kick the kicker and it survived to the end of the year, he wasn't going to survive another season, I don't think.
Yikes. Ish, what a mess. But maybe not anymore. Doug Peterson taking over, and we're talking about it all with Mark Long of the Associated Press. He's at AP Mark Long on Twitter.
Well, I couldn't stop it. I can't, help myself. But where are we with the kicker lawsuit? It's just only question.
It's a good question. We trying to keep tabs on that. We're trying to keep tabs on a lot of things in Jacksonville. Where Urban Meyer is with because he's trying to get some of his money, right? They fired him with cause. Mm-hmm. So that's got to go to arbitration. So, Urban Meyer was signed a 5-year deal. So he had 4 years left on his deal. They fired him with cause. Shad Khan, the owner, doesn't want to pay him a dime, citing all of the missteps along the way. But Urban Meyer's fighting it, so there's that. And then, you got the kicker lawsuit who's suing the entire team saying, suing the franchise saying that Urban Meyer created a hostile work environment. So you got both of those, and, they're slow going. And no progress made on either one of them, and neither of them has been settled at this point.
So, what are your early sentiments on, I guess, Doug Peterson, who has a Super Bowl under his belt and everything else, but every team is different, and he's starting kind of from scratch and has to build confidence and within his players and his coaching staff. So, where would you say, compared to that first, training camp where Urban Meyer was during this time last year, where is Doug Peterson and the team?
Well, they're worlds ahead, especially in terms of the buy-in from the players. I mean, they love Doug Peterson. There's nothing not to like. I mean, the guy was well-liked in Kansas City, was adored in Philadelphia, especially after he brought in the Super Bowl. And he's well-liked here. He's a player's coach. He knows what these guys want. He knows what they need. He listens to them. There's no shenanigans. Like, there were just so many shenanigans last year. And even before that, you go back to Doug Marrone, and Doug Marrone was a guy who was like just a little sneaky behind the scenes, always kind of pointing fingers, working angles, this and that. You're just not getting that with Doug Peterson. So he's a guy who's very upfront and honest with his players, and he's been in the league a long time, been cut a bunch of times. So he knows what he's talking about, and he knows how to win in this league. And that's, I think, number one. And then, he's got a history of working with quarterbacks, going back to Kansas City, and certainly he got the best out of Carson Wentz, and he got the best out of Nick Foles. I mean, we've seen those guys other places, and they've never done anything anywhere else that would make you think that they're any good. He made them better. There's no question about it. And so, you got to think that if anybody's going to get Trevor Lawrence, out of that, or to erase that wasted year of last year, this is the perfect guy to do it. The crazy part is, how did it take him 30 days since they first interviewed Doug Peterson to circle back and actually hire Doug Peterson? That, to me, just kind of shows you some of the dysfunction in this franchise. He should have been number one. He was the number one guy at the interview, but he should have been top of the list, and it should have been a no-brainer that, hey, this is the guy we want to pair with Trevor Lawrence moving forward.
Well, let's talk about Trevor Lawrence. How has he looked in training camp with this new offense and different players? Well, some of them different, and some in different roles. What have you seen?
He looks good. He looks the part. He actually looks the part. And we actually saw this late last season. If you go back and look at the season finale, it wasn't, off the chart. It wasn't 300 yards and 4 touchdowns, but it was, 250 yards, 2 touchdowns. And he was just so efficient and no turnovers. And that's the big thing. He turned the ball over way too often last year. So that's number one, is cut down on the turnovers. Number two is make plays. And I think what we've seen right now through training camp and preseason is him making plays. Not only is it him, and he's certainly more comfortable in the offense, and he's seen all the defenses, but it's the level of playmakers around him. They went out and signed Christian Kirk. You can say all you want about, Christian Kirk's not a number one, and obviously, Tennessee has been in that boat before where they don't have a number one receiver. You can win without a true number one, but Jacksonville's probably got 2 or 3 number twos, right? And so, but they think they can win with those guys. Christian Kirk make plays. The guy who's going to surprise some people is Zay Jones. He bounced around the league a little bit, but he's a big-time playmaker and has had a fantastic camp. Number 3 guy is Marvin Jones, but really their number 3 receiver is going to be Evan Ingram. And if he can catch the ball, he's got the most drops of any tight end in the league since he's entered. But former high pick with the Giants, and he's been really, really good, nice addition for them. And then their number 4 probably pass catcher is going to be Travis Etienne. He's a guy that they paired with Trevor last year in the first round, and he blows out his foot, his Liz Frank injury in the preseason, and missed his whole entire rookie season. But he's unbelievable. He's been great. He's got an unbelievable burst and some great cutting ability and some familiarity with Trevor. So those 2 guys, I think, and then those receiving core, I think they got a chance to be pretty good. And actually, they're going to be a little bit better than people think up front on the offensive line.
Oh yeah, that's where you got to protect Trevor Lawrence. Well, with AP, Mark Long covers the Jaguars as well as the Gators. Gator Chomp.
Okay, Mark, I'm terrible at math, but tell me if this is right. So, including interim, in the last 3 years, the Jags have had 4 head coaches. They've had 3 defensive coordinators in the last 3 years. And is this right? In the last 5 years, they've had 5 offensive coordinators?
Ooh, that sounds right. It certainly sounds right because we went through Yes, DiFilippo, Bevel, obviously Press Taylor this year, DiFilippo or Bevel last year. DiFilippo might have been 19, and certainly in 8 or 19. 20 was DiFilippo. 19 would have been
I'll tell you what it was. It was Hackett in
go ahead.
2018, DiFilippo in 19, Gruden in 20, Bevel in 21, and Press Taylor with the coach actually calling the plays this year, right?
Correct.
So 5 in 5 years. How could anybody do anything right there when the system changes every time you go to the bathroom and come back out?
You can't. You absolutely can't. And that's why I think it was important that they get a head coach who can call plays.
Yeah.
And because, again, you just can't have that kind of turnover. And it's on both sides of the ball. It's not like it's just one side of the ball. It's such a bad organization. That's really what this is. This is about trying to fix 10 or 12 years of bad decisions. And they've made bad decisions from the start, from the head coach, from the general manager, to the draft picks, to free agents. And all of a sudden, it just starts to look like the last 2 years they've kind of got their stuff together. And it's crazy because everybody was ripping Trent Baalke. You know, he's out of the league for 4 years as a consultant working with the NFL. They bring him in and promote him from within, and everybody kind of got a lot of flack last year. But really, when you look at what Trent Baalke's done, you know, he's given him a chance to turn this thing around and turn it around pretty quickly because he's hit on free agency last year for sure. And again this year, and it finally looks like they're starting to hit on draft picks. I mean, that remains to be seen. Hard to make any calls, you know, on last year or this year draft picks, but at least they look the part. You go back to 2020, and 2 of their top 3 picks have already been traded, and the other one's a backup now. So, you know, you can't survive like that. You can't survive when your big-time guys, your Jalen Ramseys of the world, your Dante Fowlers of the world, your Yannick Ngakoue are all elsewhere because they were unhappy here.
Yeah. Well, speaking of guys who they drafted, Trayvon Walker this year, I've read a lot of good reviews on him early. I saw the over-under on him for sack numbers, 6.5. DraftKings. Where do you stand on him? How do you think he's going to do this year?
Yeah, I mean, he looks the part. My God, he looks the part. He's just so big, long arm, just fantastic athlete. He's been good. He hasn't been great, but he's been good. You know, you watch Hard Knocks with Aiden Hutchinson, you go, oh, did they literally make the right choice, right? That one's going to haunt him if they didn't. But he looks the part. He's young, he's inexperienced. They played him probably out of position at Georgia. So the Jags are still he's still certainly in teaching mode and learning mode. And he probably plays a little bit upright, pad level probably a little bit high in the run game. But when you look at the strides he's made and the ability to get to the quarterback, that's what stands out. His ability to get to the quarterback. You got to think that you got a shot, right, to be really, really good. And just the unbelievable intangibles on this guy. I think that's what I get why that's why they fell in love with him. They fell in love with, you look at the guy, he looks the part. He's an unbelievable kid. He acts the part. And they're like, wow, you know, we can mold him into this unbelievable outside linebacker, just prototypical outside linebacker, and then we can teach him how to stop the run.
Got Mark Long on, AP Mark Long. That's his Twitter handle, covering the Jags and Gators.
Mark, I don't think you went over this. Any surprise cuts that you thought maybe should have made the team, even if they brought him back for practice squad?
Yeah, you know what? When you have one guy claimed, that tells you, you know, you're probably cutting the right guys, or it tells you you're not very talented, right? And that might be both here in Jacksonville. But they only have one guy claimed, Jay Tufele, and he was a little bit of a surprise. He's a defensive tackle, 4th-round pick, I think, a year ago under Urban, or 2 years ago under Urban Meyer, last year under Urban Meyer. So, you know, that's a little. He was a little bit of a surprise. He got claimed by Cincinnati. So, you know, nothing else. You know, they got rid of a few veterans and replaced them with younger guys. And I think when you've got a new head coach, a second-year general manager, and you're a rebuilding team, and that's what they are, you know, you can take some chances with some young guys and say, okay, these guys are going to be bottom of the roster guys, and we're going to see how they develop. And if you can hit on one or two, you're going to be much better off late in the year when those guys are forced into starting roles because of injuries, or down the road next year and the year after. And the reality is the guys they cut, the Laquan Treadwells, those kind of guys, or Will Richardsons, they're probably going to be on the street and available if you need to go get them, early in the season.
Did you have any roster crushes? I mean, like Mickey has these crushes every year of, some unknown guy who, and this year the guy made the actual roster was a running back, Chestnut. Did you have any guy that you liked and possibly it was be a stretch for him to make team, but maybe he'll make the practice squad? Any guy you kind of liked? You said, man, he's a tough kid, man.
Well, it's Tim Jones, and he made the team, and everybody kind of had their eye on him. We had heard that they had 4 receivers they were thinking about for the final 2 spots, and it ended up being he was the only one of the 4. They traded Laviska Shenault. They cut Laquan Treadwell. They cut Jeff Cotton, and they kept Tim Jones. So he was the guy. Everybody was watching him in camp. He had made a lot of plays in camp, and you thought, okay, this, even though it was coming against the second and third team, you're thinking he's got a shot, So that's the guy. And it's funny, we had a guy years ago here, about probably almost 10 years ago, called Cam Campy, and unbelievable name, Cam Campy, and he was a fan favorite for whatever reason. And so we call every year. We say, who's going to be the Campy? Who's going to be the guy the fans are going to be clamoring for and going to be so distraught when he gets cut on that last day? And it was probably going to be Tim Jones this year, but he ended up making the team.
There you have it. We're with AP. Mark Lone covers the Jags as well as Gator Chomp. Yeah.
So let's just go ahead and ask you. The Billy Napier era starts this week, and against Utah, we need to fire the scheduling coach down there. That's it. Come on, man. You're supposed to get like Sacred Heart out of the gate.
Or Ball State.
Brutal. I mean, you don't know, right? When you schedule Utah, they scheduled Utah 5 or 6 years ago. You knew Utah was going to be good, but you know they're going to be this. This is their highest ranking ever. Number 7. So, and you're getting them when you're down. The recruiting's been down at Florida for a couple years. So you got a new head coach. You don't have the talent that you're used to rolling out there. And all of a sudden you got – the only thing that gives you some sort of saving grace is that you get them at home, right? And you get them week 1 – which is you still get that Florida summer heat and humidity. So maybe, just maybe, you can catch Utah, wear them out, stay with them, stay close, and wear them out in the third and fourth quarter, or the heat will wear them out in the third and fourth quarter, and maybe you have a shot. And I think there is some belief that that's what they're going to do. And then the other thing is Utah has no tape on Florida, right? Utah's got to look at Florida personnel and see how does it fit to Louisiana Lafayette schemes. And that's what Billy Napier's got, right? He's got all these Florida guys with no open practices, no chance for any spies to come in there. And then so you got to kind of, for Utah staff, now granted, Williams been there 18 years. So Kyle Whittingham's been there like 18 years. So that's going to help, right? He knows what he's doing. And for them, they're really good. So it may not matter what Florida puts out there. But, the difference maker, the X factor is Anthony Richardson. He's a guy who's showing up on mock draft. I mean, he's only thrown 33 passes. He made 1 start last year against Georgia, got knocked out in the first quarter with a concussion. And all of a sudden he's now in mock drafts for next year as like a top 10 pick. And so, you start scratching your head going, what do these people see? And they can get what they see. They see this, this 6'5" guy with unbelievable athleticism, and you think, okay, if he continues to progress a little bit, there's already the comparisons to Cam Newton, and maybe he's that guy. But he's going to have to be Cam Newton Auburn 2011, right? 11 to Cam Newton Auburn 2011, I think, or 10, whatever year that was, and he's going to have to be that good for Florida to get where it wants to go. Anything short of that, and they're in trouble because they don't have the talent and they don't have the depth to be what we've seen from Florida over the decades.
Mark, fantastic stuff, man. People need to be following you at AP Mark Long. Again, Jags and Gators coverage 24/7 from you down there in the beautiful world of Florida. Thank you, sir, for checking in today.
Appreciate you so much, guys. Thank
Yes,
you.
sir.
Have a good one.
Mark Long. All right, when we come back, a couple of Blaine and Mickey polls out there. Something you guys really like and something you guys really don't like about these current Titans. We'll share it next. boom, boom, boom. That should be me playing that bass line. Scorpions. This should be me on tour.
Well, you people can go see you September 9th.
Yeah, I'm supposed to be sitting in with Bam, my buddy Bam. Last time that happened, though, he's like, yeah, about 1:45 a.m. We ready for you. I was over in the corner, like, passed out. Ramon and Big Ron and Ben Nair, they were going to watch me play, and they had shown up, and Bam had, said something to those guys, and they'd already gone home. Lucas, I think, had gone home. I'm up there playing, and none of my family is there. It was the saddest day of my life. I was like a kid at Little League. I hit a home run and crossed home plate. Mom and Dad weren't even in the stands.
That's showbiz, baby.
That is showbiz. It was fun to play with him, though. They got a killer band. He was playing with Super T, which when I first moved to town. Yes.
That dude's a character.
I played with that guy.
Thank you, Tyrone.
I've done some cool things. I mean, opened for Rick Springfield and 38 Special and every Christian band that exists in that genre of music, and played in Europe and got songs on records on iTunes and all sorts of things. But I was just as thrilled to be playing with Super T. Are you kidding me?
That dude, I've only ever seen that dude at 2 a.m. at Bourbon Street Blues and Boogie Bar. And a few months ago, I saw that guy loading groceries into a car outside of a Publix in Bellevue. And I was like, this is crazy.
That dude is a legend. Legend. Killer band. And then, the drummer's a guy that holds it all down. So that's Bammer. He's back there just making it all happen. Dropping his drumstick during a fill and making himself ding-dong of the week this week. So Titans fans happy and unhappy with some of the roster cut stuff. So we put some questions out at Blaine and Mickey. You can still answer these. They're still available for your yeses and nos. But I said something you're real happy about, something you're not happy about. I was curious. And you guys maybe don't have this pulled up, so I'll ask Lucas and Blaine. I love to put you on the spot when you would have no idea what the answer could be. And there's a bizarro PK who's like, why would you even ask this? I said, because I want to know how many people actually are happy about it. And he's like, oh, that makes sense. Bizarro PK on Twitter. Are you happy with the Titans' decision to keep 2 QBs on the 53-man roster? What percent do you think are happy? I didn't even mention the names. I didn't have to. What percent of Titans fans do you think are happy that they only kept 2 QBs?
100?
Blaine and Lucas. No, it's not 100. That's why I asked the question, because I knew it wouldn't be 100.
It should be 100.
There's always somebody who's not happy.
To your point, history says that's what they've done, right?
Yeah.
So I'm gonna go just a little under that. It's 75%.
90.8% say happy. So 9.2% of people out there are mad that Logan Woodside is not current. He's on the practice squad if you're worried about Logan Woodside. And as we found out, you can make $320K on the practice squad now if you're a veteran.
Well,
so he's going to be fine. You can make upwards of $320,000. Here was the other one that people do not feel so good about. Do you feel good about the Titans' current offensive line personnel? What percent? And I mean, you and me answering a poll on Blaine and Mickey probably if you weren't a Titans fan. So what percentage of Titans fans who answer this poll feel good about the Titans offensive line personnel? It was a worry before camp. How many people are still unhappy?
Lucas?
Okay, say the question one more time.
O-line. I mean,
how many people feel good? Percentage of Titans fans feel good
Lucas
about
the offensive
line.
line.
By the way, is in there training someone else, so Jackson.
Our new guy, Jackson.
Training our guy, Jackson.
yeah, from UT guy. Too,
Mama say, Mama saw, Mike saw Jackson.
32.
How many? 32. Whoa, that's kind of low. I am definitely not happy, especially with the ratings deal. I'm very uncomfortable with the right tackle, and I still think we're in trouble because if Taylor Lewan gets injured, I'm going past, he has to play like the Lewan of 3 years ago. If he gets injured, we're really in a world of hurt. We're in trouble. We're in for real trouble. I don't even like that guy they traded for. He's a backup. I watched the film of this dude. I watched film all day yesterday. I'm like, he's longer. That's the only thing I can say about him. So it's a little harder to get around him. He's still doing some of the same things as Radens. It just doesn't look bad because he's bigger and he's probably a little more athletic.
And he's just started more games there.
Right. He started. So obviously there's times that he did well. But I think he's a rotation. I mean, he's not coming in and starting.
They got a bunch of rotational guys.
Yeah, so I'm looking for a starter now. I mean, What if Petit Frere craps in the pants when the season starts? I think people get preseason confused, man. You're going against guys who most likely aren't in the league, and the game is faster. I've talked about it numerous times. Preseason one speed, regular season's another speed, and playoffs is another speed. So you can't say it's all in. And just like Stonehouse, you don't know what he may do in a regular season game. So I'm disappointed. So I'm not happy. Lucas went
32%.
32%.
Man, I really don't want to go below that. So, but I'm 30.
25.7% of people who answered this say they feel good about the Titans' offensive line.
Now, you run blocking, I feel pretty cool because I know we got that dude back there. Yeah, so he going to do something. Yeah, but pass blocking, it affects the whole passing game. They're going to be chipping, keeping guys in, two-man route. Man, I've been on the defensive side. I'll be like, hey, man, we got 2 to guard 4. We're going to get you, dudes. We're going to get you. It's not going to work with every team, and you're going to match up with some teams and be like, hey, man, our corner. You saw that kid from Arizona? What's his name? I keep saying his name wrong. I want to say it's Alfred, but that's not it. He went to Washington. He was their number 7 for them. Oh, he's locking down all the Titans receivers, locking them down.
He's somebody junior, right?
Yes, Murphy Jr. Locking them down. I was like, well, see, this team matches up. Then they got pass rushers. So whenever they play the Titans, every time I talked to someone on their coaching staff, and they got 2 guys I know, by the way, they act like they gonna whoop the Titans every time. Like there is no doubt they match up well, and we have no issues with them. So yeah, that's how they feel. And I thought it was unbelievable. They told me this before the time they played in the first game. I said, nah, that's not gonna happen. They said, watch. And I watched LaJuan go Chandler Jones.
He just got another sack last year. Like
But
just now.
what's so funny though? He had 4 or 5 sacks.
They didn't have any more?
No, he finished with like 10. I'm like,
No, I didn't even get to 10. For the longest time, those were the only sacks he had.
I was like,
The
whoa.
4 or 5 he had that day were all he had, like most of the season, it seems
But
like.
we didn't watch any of the game. We don't know if he was getting chipped and people was giving him attention after
Boy,
that.
Everybody must have given him all the attention in the
Now,
world.
that's what I said for
Like
the
when
rest
you bring
of
a
the
baby
season.
home, he was getting that kind of attention.
Oh no, man.
Hour 2 coming up next.
Think
We
you
will.
shut it
If you're
down.
on the phone, hold the phone. We'll get to you.
He with the Raiders. Nah.
Blaine and Mickey, 104.5 The Zone. Welcome to the Nexus of the Sports Talk universe. We're halfway through the week show. I like to say that mainly because it just kind of resets everything for me. I mean, like, it's a downhill run from here. Think about that. I mean, we're literally, like, you're more than halfway through the week. If you're a Vols fan, you got a football game tomorrow. If you're a Ball State Cardinals fan.
Stop that. Y'all are making fun.
You have a football game tomorrow.
Right. Y'all making fun of my school, man. Come on,
no,
man.
I'm just telling you. Like, you happen to be a Ball State fan. You got a football game.
I'm gonna be a proud Ball Stater now. Don't get it twisted. But the reality is that I'm not on that field. That's the problem.
You could address the team with any message. What would you address the team with?
Pray.
A religious theme message. I like that.
Give it your best shot, man. Just remember, you're showcasing your talents against some of the best players in the country in the SEC. So just remember that. Now, I'd live for those kind of games, man, because we would play Clemson and, whatever other team there was that we would play out of conference. So, I think that's kind of how I really made my statement and how I got drafted. So, yeah, this was about individually, but naturally in the trenches. Going to be out, man. But, as a coach, you got to believe that you got a shot of winning. You want to try to keep it close by halftime, but I don't think they're going to know what hit them with this up-tempo, offense with hypo. I mean, I'm sure it'd probably be 21-0 in the first quarter. I'm afraid that's going to happen because if they go 3 and out, they got 30 new guys on the team, starting quarterback, receivers, all the, the guys who were proven players. So I just think they go 3 and out like 2 or 3 times in a row. I think if it's going to be gas, there's no way you could prepare for this.
If you're Ball State,
you better hope that they run. And then they may be running through gaping holes.
Would you plan some of your offense to go as slow as possible just to give your defense a rest? So even if you had a 3 and out, you'd be like, we ran the max play clock on the 3 plays that we ran, and then even waited a while to punt.
Well, I would probably try to do a little bit of running to control the clock and snap the ball 2 or 3 seconds into the shot, the clock, play clock, and then I would probably dink and dunk. That's almost like a run play too, early on until they start figuring out, hey, we're not going downtown. Then you do some play action and try to, take them downtown with one of your better players as an opportunity to make a play. Ball State does have 2 6'3" wide receivers that start, and then another guy who's up for the slot receiver from Cincinnati. His name is Tiffany Jackson, who are Biletnikoff Award in the running. So he's been named that. So they have some solid players at the receiver position, but the quarterback is his first game. He's going to be starting.
He's been there a while, though, right? But just now starting. He was behind Plitt.
Yeah, he's been there 3 years.
Drew Plitt.
I think Plitt made the roster there with the Bengals, too, by the way.
That rascal. Hey, man.
He went 6 for 6 at that last game. Was on national TV. So, the MAC produces quarterbacks, receivers. So they've got a history of that. So, you got to look at the challenge and just say, hey, what can we do and try to escape out of here with a good representation, at least in the back of your mind. But the coaches all believe you can win. The players definitely do. And just think, Ball State's getting a check that it's going to cover probably their whole season as far as their football program and traveling expenses. So
what are they getting? Do you know? 1.6, 1.7, 1.5 maybe?
I think it's around 1.4 or 5.
Okay.
Yeah, somewhere around there. So, that's a nice from Ball State. Oh, that's a nice chunk of cheddar.
It's a huge chunk of change.
Yeah. UT, that's like, they got that in their corner pocket.
You go and play these games because you have sports that are truly non-revenue, like tennis. You don't make any money for and I'm not picking on tennis. Cross country, you have sports that don't make any money.
Golf.
So golf. So your football team, they go and they play. They get sacrificed in front of 100,000 people, and then you can pay for all those other sports.
It'd be a unique experience because they probably most players hadn't played in any stadium like that. I know they're supposed to have the lights deal and get to see what it's like to, in a big program. Some of them may be little at all of it. Some people may. So you just never know. So. Hopefully you can give a good showing. I know Bowling Green last year, I thought they did a great job and a great showing there, especially in the first half. But that was Heupel's first year. This is second year. This thing is a machine now. So, I think it's going to be tough sledding.
Switch to a little Titans talk. Kirk in Nashville was kind enough to hold through the break on the Mark Spain Real Estate Hotline. Kirk in Nashville wants to talk a little Titans. What's going on, Kirk?
What's going on, fellas?
I
want to take this time to serve as a reminder to Titans Nation to relax. J-Rob turned that defense within 1 year to now an elite defense. We all remember 2020. But that 2020 offense was kicking in skulls with Ryan Tannehill as a quarterback. They have what they want, and I think J-Rob deserves the benefit of the doubt of us trusting that he knows what he's doing. He's proven it. So we're talking about offensive line, but we didn't worry about offensive line last year, and they were terrible. So, of course, they downgrade and save money in a hard cap league. I think they're right where they need to be, and I think we should trust J-Rob. I think he deserves that.
Well, I'm definitely not going to say I trust where they're at. Yeah, we got to trust the GM. He's the one making decisions, watching all the waiver wires and sometimes calculations on when somebody's going to be released and when to. But here's my deal, and that is I don't think they're doing enough to go to the Super Bowl and win it. And reason why I say that, even if Tannehill played better in that playoff game and the loss to the Bengals, they still were max protecting because of the line issues in the passing game, and that will continue. And that is what's going to hurt us and getting us over the hump. That in itself, you can't win in the playoffs consistently and think that that's going to take you all the way to the trophy. And so I think eventually, just imagine if Taylor Lewan is injured and he already has to play like the old Taylor Lewan, not last year's Taylor Lewan. Let's start there. But if he gets injured, we're really in a world of hurt. Nobody's going to get out in the pass but two people for sure then.
At that point, would you have to say, like, we have to trade an asset to somebody, try to get somebody?
Well, we can say that, and that sounds real good on paper. But who will be available, Mickey? That's
Somebody's swing guy.
Right, another. Yeah, so it's not gonna be.
So get ready for two-man routes is what you're saying?
If that happens. That's why a lot of people are, clamoring for, an Undertaker, Kelly, because we know him.
He's
available. He's available, but I don't know his health. I know he had some knee surgery or something. I mean, he didn't play at all in the preseason, so I don't know if he's healthy or not. So they may not be interested in him. Unless they wait until after the season starts. That way they can kind of go week to week with a veteran salary, and that's not guaranteed. But, yeah, I'm a little concerned with the pass protection and what they have to do to protect Tannehill and max protecting. And I just don't know any team has won a Super Bowl that's how they won it, and that's max protecting, and a lot of it in the passing game. I just don't see it. I don't see Burks really stepping up early. I hope he does for the big play ability, because he's the one that has that kind of ability. Robert Woods is not getting the separation that he usually does to me.
And there was the report this morning from Terry McCormick that Racey McMath could be headed towards the
PUP list for 4 weeks, or IR.
PUP list or the IR, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And I haven't seen anything that it's been done yet. But that was a report from Terry McCormick, I guess, yesterday evening.
It said expected.
Expected to. So if that's the case.
Four receivers right
You
there.
only had 5. Now you're only down to 4.
And then Phillips, we can love him all we want to, but we still haven't seen him, doing it in the regular season game because everything is ratcheted up. So we'll see if he can adjust to the speed and everything else. So we shall see. I mentioned the receivers yesterday, and then, I really wanted to go O-line with Red and you guys, but, yeah, receivers, it's a tough one, man. Every play will be critical for them. So we got to see if NWI can step up and be that number 2, and sometimes number 1.
Is there something going on, Lucas?
Is some breaking news?
Ironically, Jordan Dejani just DM'd me this tweet. He's set to join us here in about 6 minutes or so. But Taylor Bisciotti, I hope I said that right, of NFL Network, reporting that Josh Gordon, who led the NFL in receiving yards in 2013, is on his way to visit the Titans today. Not breaking news.
I'm looking at
not breaking news. He's just visiting.
I'm looking at Blaine's face.
No.
He's coming to Nashville for a cup of coffee.
Yeah, that was a strong no for me. I hadn't even watched him play in a while. But
2013 NFL. It's 2022.
Oh, no, his first couple years in Cleveland was just outstanding. It was, wow. You'd say, this guy's going to be great, but
on a terrible team.
That's where we're at. See, I'm not doing that.
Okay.
I'm going. I'll go Terry Godwin before I went and done that. They haven't done it yet. He's coming in for a visit, so obviously they want to get a physical and everything else. But every time I've watched him over the last, let's say, 3 or 4 years, He just hasn't recaptured that, and he's just a good player now. And when I say good, he's just an average NFL wide receiver. Looks like it needs to be in better shape to me. So no can do.
He had 5 catches last year for 32 yards with the Chiefs.
In a pass-happy offense, by the way, who throw the ball, and you have one of the better quarterbacks in the National Football League.
And they moved on from him after losing their top receiver threat from last season.
So it's just, all the tea leaves are telling you. It's just not, yeah. I'd go with, right. But, they may look at it as temporary, and then picking up the system.
We'll keep you posted on that.
Desperate times, desperate measures.
Yes, well, there you go. We're not desperate for Jordan Dejani, but we are desperate for him. He has great news, and he joins us next from CBS Sports. Blaine and Mickey, 104.5 The Zone.
This is you right here, Mickey.
Oh, man, I didn't want to talk over that little drum break there, Tom Petty.
One of the best.
So you let me do it, huh?
Yeah, you handled that.
Oh, man, we haven't had the milky. Hey, that honey bun, man, that's going on the wrong way.
But you eat nothing all day, then you smash a honey bun.
Ooh, I could go for a honey bun.
Yeah, Mickey, guessing the songs, but I know you know this one. So.
Oh, this is my favorite Tom Petty song.
Okay,
I think it is.
It's an incredible live version of this floating around out there where he talks in the middle. Yes.
Oh, my God.
Which is just amazing. Jordan Dejani probably likes that version of the song.
I wonder what his favorite Petty song is.
He joins us now, so we'll ask you that. Lucas Panziga with the first question for Jordan Dejani. Hello, Jordan. And what is your favorite Tom Petty song?
Well, she was just an American girl.
Ooh, I see it with the pipes.
Amazing.
Can you hit the next line, though?
No.
No, I'm not going to try that.
Goes up from there.
Oh, I could tell he was strained in there, boy. I could hear it.
I thought that was nice. So
No,
he
it was
sings,
nice, though. It was nice.
Covers the NFL for CBS Sports. So biggest roster surprise for you for the Tennessee Titans. And I'll take Brett Kern off the table. So what was it besides that?
Yeah, pretty solid day, pretty entertaining day all around when it comes to the NFL. But, yeah, for the Titans, it was good to see Julius Chestnut make the roster, the 53-man roster. I was a little surprised that they kept 4 running backs. And as we know, the 53-man roster is not finalized. We're not done with movement just yet. So it leads me to wonder, who the next couple of players could be off if the Titans go out there and sign another player at a different position, or the veteran Josh Gordon, of course. Another thing that kind of surprised me was the wide receiver count. I anticipated 6 as opposed to 5. So that leads me to believe that maybe another wide receiver could be coming. I don't know if that's Josh Gordon. There's a lot of other veterans out there as well. I looked at the defensive backs as well. I was hoping that Theo Jackson could make that 53-man roster. Maybe a little bit surprised that Josh Kalu and then A.J. Moore were there. Not too much of a big surprise. What else? Yeah, I mean, it's pretty solid roster in my opinion. I don't think that we saw way too many surprises, but I'm definitely keeping my eyes open for what's coming next down the line.
Yeah, as Jordan Dejani mentioned, Taylor Bisciotti reporting, again, Josh Gordon on his way to visit the Titans today. There you go.
What do you think about that?
I mean, the name obviously stands out, but again, as you saw in the tweet, his last best season came in 1980. So this is a guy that obviously
1980s.
But man, I got to say too, I'm talking about the 5 wide receivers making the 53-man roster. I was hoping that the Titans were going to put in a claim for Tyler Johnson, the Buccaneers wide receiver that was released, the young guy. Unfortunately, it was the Houston Texans, the rival Texans, that put in a claim for him. I don't have the numbers in front of me, but I would imagine he was a guy that kind of had the interest of several teams. So, I really do think that the Titans are going to make a move at wide receiver. I don't know in what form that will come. I mean, Will Fuller is a guy still out there on the market. Emmanuel Sanders is another veteran who's played more recently in terms of touches than Josh Gordon, T.Y. Hilton. So keep an eye for the Tennessee Titans, maybe to make another run at wide receiver.
Well, I mean, if you need a guy to play 7 games to your franchise, Will Fuller is there to play 7 games to your franchise. If you need a guy to play 17 games to your franchise, Will Fuller is there to play 7 games for your franchise. Jordan Dejani, big Will Fuller fan, joins us on Blaine and Mickey.
No doubt. Well, Jimmy G has done it again. He is in San Francisco. I can't believe John Lynch and those guys pulled this off. I'm trying to figure who won here, and I want to say that the 49ers won, but there's a part of me feel like Jimmy G won here too, but he's taking less, and then he redid his contract. Kind of take us through what your thoughts were on the whole situation.
Yeah, man, we could spend an entire segment on this fiasco because, as I said on your show before, I feel like the 49ers kind of overplayed their hand at the beginning of this process. They were trying to talk him up and try to ask for some serious compensation in return for Jimmy Garoppolo. And as time wore on, obviously those potential landing spots continue to dwindle. And at this point, if Jimmy Garoppolo was released, let's say, at that 53-man roster deadline, which team would pick him up? I don't know. And it would be in the form of a backup. So in some ways, they both won, they both lost, right? I mean, if Jimmy Garoppolo was released,
he'd be making less money in 2022 than he's going to, even though he restructured his contract. He's still going to be one of the highest paid backup quarterbacks in the NFL behind Trey Lance. He's in a familiar situation. He knows the offense. So I really don't think the 49ers have a problem retaining him. But you're still going to see a ton of chatter, a ton of talk over the next couple of weeks, next couple of months, that maybe the 49ers aren't as confident in Trey Lance as they put on. I don't believe that. And I don't think that this Jimmy Garoppolo situation is over. It's true that in his new restructured contract, he has a no-trade clause, but there's kind of a caveat to that. The only no-trade clause part of it is that Jimmy Garoppolo has to agree with where he would be being sent in a potential trade. So let's say, another starting quarterback goes down with a more significant injury today, tomorrow, whenever it may be. The 49ers could be one of the first calls for that next franchise searching for a legitimate starting quarterback. So I think it's very possible that Jimmy Garoppolo could be playing for another team.
We're on with Jordan Dejani, NFL writer for CBS Sports, and let's stay with the quarterbacks. Lamar Jackson. I mean, is he going to get a contract done? Where are they at with the negotiations? I mean, I'm hearing all this different stuff and, social media saying different, articles saying that, not close. Are they offering him Kyler Murray money? Are they offering him, Watson money, but no fully guaranteed? Where are you at with this whole deal with the Lamar Jackson? Is he going to get something done? It doesn't look like he is.
Yeah, I feel like there's not going to be something that gets done before that week one cutoff that Lamar Jackson has established with the franchise. It's tough because it's very possible the Ravens have been working diligently behind closed doors and they kind of take everybody by surprise. But at the same time, I feel like we would have gotten a glimpse into that if an extension was close to coming to fruition. So I believe that he's going to play out this next year and we'll have to revisit this entire situation. But yeah, I mean, there's a lot of rumors and noise circling this entire situation. It seems like Lamar Jackson has kind of responded on social media to some of it. We've seen reports that we haven't been able to confirm, talking about guaranteed money and it approaching Deshaun Watson territory. We don't know anything about that, to be honest with you. But I would believe that total guaranteed money, fully guaranteed money, I should say, is probably some kind of sticking point when it comes to this negotiations. And as we know, the Browns obviously messed up the quarterback market with the contract they handed to Deshaun Watson, and other quarterbacks who have been able to, keep a clean rap sheet when it comes to off the field feel like they should be worth more than a guy who has been unable to do so. So a ton of noise around this, but I mean, at this stage, it feels like nothing is going to get done before that week one cutoff.
Maybe something will get done. Who in the heck, maybe they signed while we were on air here the last couple of hours, is the backup quarterback for the Dallas Cowboys?
That's a good question. It was kind of an interesting situation yesterday because they released both of their quarterbacks, but as many reporters were pointing out, this was, a move to finagle around the roster cuts in terms of the 53-man deadline, just so they had some breathing room. They would hope that Will Grier would pass their waivers, which I believe he did. Then they got Cooper Rush. They probably had an under-the-table handshake agreement for him to return. I think both actually are back with the practice squad, and I would believe, and maybe it even seems more likely that Cooper Rush would be the guy who is elevated to the active roster at one point or the other. But at the same time, I wrote a piece on this yesterday, and I kind of hypothesized out loud that maybe the Cowboys were searching around the market. Maybe that they cut these guys knowing that they could get them back, at least in the form as a practice squad player, looking around the market, seeing if any of the other guys went unclaimed or another backup was released that was a casualty of the 53-man cut deadline. We haven't seen anything just yet, and it leads me to believe that, probably Cooper Rush might be the backup again in 2022.
I'm going to stay with quarterback. I still got to ask you this. I meant to ask you this last week because it's gotten worse. Mac Jones, is this just because it's the preseason, but he looks very frustrated, and I know they're keeping it basic and simple in their offense, but at the same time, he's getting frustrated. How about you open that thing up a little bit more, man? What's going on here with not, I guess naming a coordinator, and to a certain extent they have, but really haven't?
Right. Yeah, this is a tough situation. And, some of the reporters that I've talked to that cover the Patriots more extensively than me seem kind of low on this team entering 2022, and some of them being low on the team kind of surprises me since they know them so well. They obviously had what was a borderline miraculous run through the regular season, the late stages back in 2021. Mac Jones obviously made the Pro Bowl as an alternate. But, we've seen some second-year signal callers struggle at times when it comes to that next year in the NFL. Once more teams have tape on them, when there's more roster turnover, not having Tyquan Thornton for the beginning of the season is very important to me when it comes to this Patriots passing offense. So, yeah, it seems like there's some negative noise surrounding this New England franchise, and we're really going to have to see how they come out of the gate that week one of the regular season, because I am a believer in Mac Jones, but obviously you want to have more consistency when it comes to the play caller, when it comes to the coordinators, when it comes to just the roster in general as well. So, yeah, there's negative noise surrounding this franchise, and it's something to keep an eye on.
We're on with Jordan Dejani, NFL writer for CBS Sports.
Jordan, you wrote a crazy story about a crazy story. Brian Robinson, the running back for the Command Skins, got shot, and the bullet didn't hurt anything. Like, this is nuts.
Command Skins.
Absolutely nuts. Yeah, it's totally a God thing. I mean, Brian Robinson's worked so hard behind the scenes. He obviously has been pushing for a starting job, and I think a lot of people before this incident believed that he would be starting over Antonio Gibson week one against the Jacksonville Jaguars. But obviously this is something that, takes precedent over football, and it's going to take him some time to fully recover. It's very good. It's obviously a tragic situation and a very scary one. He's lucky to be alive, but he's also very lucky in the football sense because the bullet, one of the two bullets that went through his knee, did not affect any kind of major structure. It didn't hit bone. It didn't hit ligaments. It didn't hit veins or anything crazy like that. So the recovery timeline, in my mind, which hasn't been released or anything, it's not going to be as extensive as it potentially could be had that bullet crossed somewhere else across his knee. So that's very good news for the Commanders, very good news for Brian Robinson. And keep an eye on this because I don't think he's been placed on the PUP list. I don't think he's been placed on the IR or designated for IR just yet. So it kind of makes me wonder, when is that legitimate recovery timeline? And for everybody out there listening, I still think he's a guy that may be worth drafting towards the mid-late rounds of your fantasy football draft. Hopefully Lucas isn't listening to this, by the way. But, yeah, Brian Robinson, I would imagine that he returns this season. And it sounds like the coaching staff and Washington's management is very confident in that possibility as well.
Just as long as he doesn't affect my man J.D. McKissick's spot on the team, but I don't think that's possible.
No chance. J.D. McKissick's a large part of that offense, and it's not always running the ball through the A-gap, B-gap. He's a receiving back. He's a major factor in that offense for sure.
That's how we build them at Arkansas State. All right, the greatest story in the history of football continues. Jared Bernhardt, the guy who was a 4-year lacrosse All-American, then played 1 year of college football and was a quarterback, has made the Falcons as a receiver after starting playing receiver in May. Is that right?
This is the story in sports. It's not the story of the NFL. It's not the story of Cutdown Day. It's the story in sports, in my opinion. I mean, the legend of Jared Bernhardt continues. You got to think, it's incredible for a player like this who's so green, so new to the wide receiver position, playing it at the highest level, making an impact through the preseason. And, I was watching him. It seems like he's really working through his releases, his route running. He's obviously a guy who can pick up yards after catch, due to his background as a lacrosse player, as somebody who played at quarterback in a very run-heavy system, option system. I really like this kid, and obviously he made a very big impact on the Falcons, and they're keeping him on that 53-man roster. As I mentioned, rosters, of course, are not finalized, and I hope he's not one of those guys who's number 52 or number 53. But Arthur Smith sees something in this kid, and that's pretty exciting.
Jordan Dejani, always exciting when he joins us here on Blaine and Mickey for CBS Sports.
Jordan, Baker Mayfield, what the crap is he talking about? Why would he do that? And that's why I said crap. He goes, I'm going to F the Browns up. Like, what? Real? Why would you say that, dude? Somebody could just dive at your knee and try to take you out, man, just cause.
That's the thing when it comes to reporters. You got to know what to talk about on the record versus off the record. I don't remember the story. I don't have it in front of me, I should say, but I'm pretty sure it was Cynthia Freeland, who is a great reporter for the NFL Network. I think that she had a conversation, that was supposed to be off the record with Baker Mayfield, asking him, how that week one's going to be. And that's what he replied with. Because as we know, I don't think that's something that Baker Mayfield would say in a press conference or on TV in an interview. So it's awesome. And, I got to say this too. It gives motivation to the Cleveland Browns. There's no doubt about that. They want to go out there and beat their former quarterback. But this gets the Carolina Panthers fan base amped up. They love to see this quote. They love to see this story. I'm seeing more and more people really buy into the Baker Mayfield bandwagon in Carolina. So that's going to be one of the biggest must-watch games in week one of the regular season. I already have money on the Panthers. I had money on them months ago. I'm excited for it.
Well, must-watch. Have you been watching Hard Knocks?
I have. Yes, I've been up to date on Hard Knocks.
Yeah, give us your update, because I watched a little bit of it last night, and I forgot that it was even started. They have so many different Hard Knocks now during the season, after season, before the season. Like, wow, man, what'd you think about the Detroit Lions?
I got to say, I was actually very impressed.
Mm-hmm.
I haven't been very impressed with some of the past series of Hard Knocks. When it started off originally, it was amazing, but I feel like, in just my opinion, they kind of fell off over the past couple of years.
Agreed.
But I've been pleasantly surprised with what I've seen, and I think a really big reason why is head coach Dan Campbell. I mean, this is a rising figure in the NFL when it comes to demanding respect, and I even tweeted out a video yesterday during the episode of Hard Knocks of the referees in Pittsburgh being so excited to talk to Dan Campbell right before the game.
Mm-hmm.
You don't see NFL referees always react to that to head coaches. They love the kind of unique personality this guy is. And, this new series with HBO has really given us some insight into how much the players respect him. I love that basically the entire Lions coaching staff is former players that we knew and grew up watching as well. I think that adds some kind of different level of experience to an NFL coaching staff. So it seems like this Lions franchise just in general is on the rise. I'm not saying to bet they're over on win total, but they seem like a franchise with some energy surrounding them as they march into 2022.
Yeah. Deuce, who's a former teammate in the Eagles, and as well as played in the Pro Bowl with AG, Aaron Glenn. Talking about quick as lightning. He was tiny, too, by the way. We're on with Jordan Dejani, NFL writer for CBS Sports.
All right, Jordan, on the way out, what do you got coming up at CBS Sports? What's up now besides the Command Skins running back with a bullet in his knee? Your knee is like all ligaments and bones, and it didn't hit any ligaments or bones. I don't even know how that happens. But what else you got coming up there?
Yeah, crazy story. Well, we're about a week away from the NFL season starting up, which means you only have a week left to lock in those futures bets. So I've gathered the brightest minds at CBS Sports, and I'm forcing them to give me some of their bets that they're playing on their Caesar Sportsbook app. So soon we're going to be coming out with over-under win totals for NFL teams. We're going to be coming out with MVP bets, Offensive Rookie of the Year bets. We're going to be coming out with a ton of stuff surrounding gambling. And I can guarantee you, if you bet these, you're going to make some money this year. So keep an eye out there for some gambling content coming on CBSSports.com.
There you go. Jordan Dejani out there just putting coins in your wallet like nobody's business. At Jordan Dejani, you can follow him there. Thank you, sir. Looking forward to next week already, because we'll have real live NFL games coming up when we talk next week.
Yes, sir. Appreciate you guys. Thank you.
Yes,
Appreciate
sir.
it, Jordan.
All right,
giving
when we
us those fake coins.
come back, we'll wrap it up. Aaron from Springfield wants to talk about the Titans O-line. Hold, Aaron. We'll come to you first on the Mark Spain Real Estate Hotline. Also, Julius Chestnut joined us during training camp and talked about his opportunity. Well, as of right now, that rascal made the most of it. He's on the 53-man roster. We'll hear from JC next, too. Blaine and Mickey 104.5 The Zone. We're going to hear from Julius Chestnut. And then I think we have audio from Blaine about Trey Avery. Is that right? Sort of a called shot that wasn't a call. What have we got? Well, let's get Aaron, and then we'll hit you with all that audio. Let's get Aaron. He gets priority here on the Mark Spain Real Estate Hotline. Aaron, thank you for your patience. Aaron, you were on.
Yes, I got a question. Our offensive line gave up so many sacks last year, so can the Titans on first and second down drop back and throw to our wide receivers outside the hash marks down the sidelines? I will hang up and listen online. Thanks.
Well, yeah, they can do that. They could try to do that, but I don't think they're going to buy into something that they're going to do all the time. I think they're going to run Henry, and then the running game slows down the pass rush, and then that will help out the offensive line to a certain extent. But Tannehill took the most hits I've ever seen him take in a Titans uniform, and I'm not liking that. I mean, man, he took some shots, and he's a tough dude, man. So I got to see that reduction in that. So they'll do everything they can to make sure that doesn't happen. So they're going to max protect. So if that's what they have to do and then throw some outcuts outside the hash, then they'll do it. Didn't do it as much as I would like, though, to the caller's point.
What do we have on Trey Avery here? You sent us a message last night. You got something cooking?
Well, I think I said that he was going to make the roster.
I think you may have, and I think
something to that.
I think Lucas has this. He's got the look on his face like, yeah, just y'all stop talking. Let me hit play.
I like Trey Avery from Rutgers, undrafted, wearing the number 2, 3. Baby,
it's the number.
Yes. And every time I see him, he just plays smart. I like smart players. He plays smart. He didn't get beat, give you the hitch. I come up, make the solid tackle. Sometimes just a routine play is the right play.
Oh, that's how I sound. Boy, I was lit right there.
Oh, you were excited.
I was.
You were extremely excited.
Because I've been watching him. I'm saying, okay, let me see if this guy's the real deal. I keep watching him another game. I'm like, okay. Then he just is solid. Nothing spectacular. But, I'm interested to see if Jackson, even though he had one little bit of a bad game, you're going to get catches on you for TDs because he's been in this league. He's played outside, inside. The injury there, did they feel like, oh, we could put him on, cut him and bring him back on the practice squad because nobody's going to pick him up. And, then Avery played well. And they thought that if they cut him, they weren't getting him. That doesn't mean Avery's ahead of Jackson, though. I think Jackson's still ahead of him.
25 years old and an undrafted free agent rookie. So an older rookie. Now, we're going to see more and more of that because of all the COVID seniors that we have. So these are going to be some of the oldest players that have ever come into the league that aren't named Chris Winkie.
Good point.
We also have this. I was due for one. It's been about a month. My man, my camp crush, Julius Chestnut, is currently one of the 53 people on the Tennessee Titans roster. And I called this before anything ever started.
Yeah,
After
training camp crush.
My training camp crush has turned into a Titan. But he joined Blaine and Mickey, and we asked him about basically him saying, I came here because they told me I would get a chance. Well, he's made the most of his chance. This is what he told Blaine Bishop and Mickey Ryan on the Blaine and Mickey Show.
And that just shows the culture here, and that's exactly why I chose it. Just given the opportunity to be here was one thing, and then they told me the opportunity is for everybody once you get here. So you just come out and compete every day. You just try to do better in every day, and just try to win your spot.
He runs that was actually a shocker a little bit. Remember, I was asking him about playing fullback. I was trying to find a way to get him on the roster.
Yep.
And I didn't know. And he said, I play fullback. Well, I do whatever it takes to get on the roster.
Mix the Gatorade, drive the bus.
But he did admit that he's still learning on special teams, running down and making tackles and how to, execute those special team plays. But, man, how happy are you for those guys? And he may still be on the practice squad. They were just because he played well in the preseason. He showed some quickness and some jump cuts and everything. Hands, he's a solid player. Solid player. I think as a depth piece, I think teams would love to have the guy for cheap. So, yeah, he got an opportunity. Let's see what the final roster be. I think John Robinson and those guys, they doing a presser today or something? No?
3 o'clock.
3 o'clock presser there.
John Robinson presser, right? Yeah. So 3HL just probably rolling with that from the jump. That means we'll have to get out on time for sure so they can jump right into that. And keep you posted on what he's talking about. The other big story as we're getting ready to go off the air, Taylor Bisciotti of NFL Network reported, I think At one point, I think Taylor Bisciotti covered the Ravens, but NFL Network reporter either way, maybe stationed with the Ravens because I remember her breaking a lot of their news, reporting that Josh Gordon, who was released by the Chiefs, is coming to visit the Tennessee Titans. And that kind of ties in with this. They only kept 5 receivers out of training camp, Racey McMath being the 5th. And there's a report from Terry McCormick that was from yesterday evening, haven't seen anything else about it, saying he was expected to be put on the injured reserve. I think he said with a hip or leg injury. I don't want to speculate, but it was lower body injury. I remember hip or leg.
Yeah, it was hip. Mm-hmm.
But Taylor Bisciotti reporting that Josh Gordon would be visiting the Tennessee Titans.
Who's released by the Kansas City Chiefs.
Released by the Chiefs, which it's crazy to think, because the thing that always comes up about him is, well, he led the NFL in receiving yards in 2013. It's 2022.
Yeah, I'm not. And maybe he can be what McMath is, and maybe that's what they're thinking. Tall guy, vertical. I think that's what he's definitely not gonna go down and tackle nobody on no special teams though. So I'm a no-go on that one. Yeah, I'm not gonna get caught up in the name game. I need production. He's only caught 5 passes for 32 yards last year
in the Chiefs' offense, and this says he played 12 games for the Chiefs and had 14 targets and caught 5 balls for 32 yards in the Chiefs' offense, where you can eat.
Yeah, Kelsey, Tyreek, you should be open all the time. And so, yeah, this one here is, I'm not. That doesn't get my blood boiling at all. Nope. It gets Lucas's and Jackson's blood boiling, though. Not mine, though.
Titans about to get your blood boiling with a press conference. That's right, Lucas. Correct. John Robinson coming up.
J-Rob and then Vrabel.
J-Rob and Vrabel, and you'll learn about it all on 3HL. So stick around, ladies and gentlemen.
In the meantime.
In between time.
Peace. Chirp.